Have you ever stood on a massive rock outcrop, looked at the twisted layers of stone and thought, how on earth did this get here? Well, if you lived in the 1700s, the answer was pretty simple: the Great Flood. End of story. Move along. But for a handful of rebellious thinkers, that answer wasn't good enough. Welcome to the channel where we bridge the gap between ancient stone and modern science. Today we are diving deep into the 18th century secret war that birthed modern geology. It was a battle of epic proportions between two schools of thought: the Neptunists, who thought everything came from a massive primeval ocean, and the Plutonists, who believed the Earth was a giant living heat engine. This isn't just history, it's the origin story of every exploration technique we use today. Before we get to the fire and water, we have to talk about the man who gave us the rules of the game: Nicholas Steno. Imagine a Danish anatomist in the 1660s being handed a giant shark head by the Grand Duke of Tuscany. Most people would have made soup, but Steno started looking at the teeth. He noticed they looked exactly like these mysterious tungstones people were digging up in the mountains. He realized fossils weren't just weird rocks that grew in the ground, they were the remains of living things. This led him to realize that if a solid fossil is inside a solid rock, the rock must have formed around it as a fluid. Steno gave us the law of superposition, which basically says the stuff on the bottom is older than the stuff on the top. It's like a laundry pile. If you find your socks from last Tuesday at the bottom, you know you haven't done laundry in a week. Fast forward to the late 1700s, and the stage is set for the big fight. In one corner, we have the heavyweight champion of the era, Abraham Gottlob Werner. Werner was the rockstar professor at the Freiburg Mining Academy in Germany. He was charismatic, he was organized, and everyone loved him. Werner's big idea was Neptunism. He proposed that the entire Earth was once covered by a universal ocean. As this ocean receded, chemicals precipitated out to form granite, then limestone, then basalt, and finally the sands and clays we see today. It was a neat, orderly, unidirectional theory that fit perfectly with the popular religious views of the time. If you were a student in Werner's class, you didn't just learn geology, you learned a gospel of water. But then, in the other corner, we have the ultimate disruptor, James Hutton. Hutton was a Scottish farmer, a chemist, and a medical doctor who didn't care much for academic popularity. While Werner was in his classroom talking about ancient oceans, Hutton was out in the rain, watching his farm soil wash away into the streams. He realized that if the world worked the way Werner said, the continents would have eroded away millions of years ago. Hutton looked at the Earth and didn't see a static relic of a flood. He saw a machine. He saw a system of the habitable Earth that was designed to be eternal. He proposed Plutonism, arguing that subterranean heat was the engine driving the world. Hutton's idea was radical. He argued that as mountains eroded into the sea, the weight of the sediment combined with internal heat would bake that mud back into hard rock. Then, the Earth's internal fire would expand, pushing those rocks back up to form new mountains. It was a giant, never-ending rock cycle. Werner and the Neptunists thought granite was the oldest rock formed by water. Hutton went to places like the Isle of Arran and Glen Tilt and found something scandalous: veins of granite actually injecting themselves into other rocks. This was proof that granite was once a hot, liquid magma, not a cold chemical precipitate. Hutton was essentially telling the establishment that the Earth wasn't a one-and-done creation. It was a living, breathing heat engine. If you are interested in these subjects, please subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment from where are you visiting, and share this channel with your friends. Until next time, keep exploring. Now, Hutton didn't just bring the heat, he brought the time. To make his cycle work, he needed a scale of time that was absolutely mind-boggling. In an era when most people thought the Earth was about 6,000 years old, Hutton was looking at rock layers and seeing millions, even billions, of years. His most famous moment came in 1788 at a place called Siccar Point. He took a boat trip with his friends John Playfair and Sir James Hall. They found a spot on the coast where vertical layers of old gray rock were covered by horizontal layers of red sandstone. Hutton explained that the vertical layers had been deposited, tilted, eroded to a flat surface, and then covered by a new ocean and new sand. Playfair later wrote that looking at that outcrop made his head spin. He felt like he was peering into the abyss of time. Hutton famously concluded that we find no vestige of a beginning, no prospect of an end. While Hutton was discovering deep time, another pioneer was working in the mud of the English countryside. William Smith wasn't a philosopher or a professor, he was a canal-digging engineer. Because he spent his life looking at vertical slices of the Earth, he noticed something no one else had. He realized that certain layers of rock always contained the same types of fossils. Even if the rock changed color or moved 100 miles away, the fossils stayed in the same vertical order. This is the principle of faunal succession. Smith used this to create the first comprehensive geological map of an entire nation. He was so good at it that people called him Strata Smith. He essentially gave geologists a GPS for time, allowing them to correlate rocks across vast distances. But the 18th century wasn't done with us yet. Enter Georges Cuvier, the French founding father of paleontology. Cuvier was a genius at comparative anatomy. He claimed that if you gave him a single bone, he could reconstruct the entire animal using his principle of the correlation of parts. If a tooth is sharp, the animal must have claws, a short digestive tract, and a very bad attitude. Cuvier used this skill to look at mammoth and mastodon bones and prove something that terrified people: extinction. Before Cuvier, people thought fossils were just animals that were hiding in some unexplored part of the world. Cuvier pointed out that a giant ground sloth the size of an elephant is pretty hard to miss. By proving that species actually go extinct, he showed that the Earth's history was a series of different worlds succeeding one another. Cuvier wasn't a fan of Hutton's slow, gradual changes. He looked at the sharp breaks in the rock layers near Paris and decided that Earth's history was punctuated by sudden, violent disasters, floods, earthquakes, and upheavals. This became known as catastrophism. While he was wrong about the flood being the only cause, his realization that the Earth undergoes major abrupt shifts was a massive step forward. Between Werner's ocean, Hutton's heat engine, Smith's fossil maps, and Cuvier's extinctions, the 18th century provided the entire toolkit for modern Earth science. We even have Alexander von Humboldt, who traveled the world trying to find the unity of nature, showing that the climate, the rocks, and the biology of the planet are all one giant interconnected system. The secret war between Neptunism and Plutonism wasn't just a petty academic argument, it was a struggle to define the very nature of our reality. Werner gave us systematic mineralogy and the importance of sedimentation. Hutton gave us the internal heat engine and the vastness of deep time. Smith gave us the map, and Cuvier gave us the history of life. When you use geochemical data or AI to model an ore deposit today, you are standing on the shoulders of these giants who weren't afraid to look at a rock and ask, why? They shifted our perspective from a short, static story to a dynamic, multi-billion-year epic. So, the next time you're in the field or looking at a seismic profile, remember the heat engine. Remember the farmer who looked at a ditch and saw the rock cycle. Remember the canal digger who saw the history of life in the mud. This 18th century revolution didn't just find stones, it found time itself. And in doing so, it gave us the ability to explore the deepest secrets of our planet. If you are interested in these subjects, please subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment from where you're visiting, and share this channel with your friends. Until next time, keep exploring.
Welcome to my channel, where you'll find over 2,000 videos on geology, geochemistry, AI, and many other subjects. If you like what you see, help us grow by subscribing, liking, and sharing this channel.
I think these videos are brilliant, and I'm sure you will like them too. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to click the notification bell.